Good morning on this September 11th, 24 years since 9/11. And I thought I'd get on just briefly touch on a couple of things in regards to 9/11, which I can remember exactly where I was, where it happened. I think we all did. It was a moment that was etched in time, and it was not random, and it wasn't done by it certainly, the story of what happened that's in the mainstream has nothing to do with actually what did happen. It was a false flag. It entered us into this surveillance state that we are running headlong into, and more false flags. What you have to understand is nothing, and this is my belief, my theory, is random. Nothing. Any of these events that you see on the world stage are planned, meticulously planned for an outcome. They are creating an outcome. They want something from it, right? And they know how to socially engineer it. So 9/11 was that, right? To get us further and further, that we were all looked at as terrorists, that we are the enemy. It made that more pronounced, though it's always there. Remember, at the top there, these people that plan these things, we are the enemy. It's not the transgenders, it's not the left, it's not the right, it's not the boomers, it's not the Gen X. These are all labels that divide. It is us, human beings, against a force that is trying to completely control us. And they do it with fear, they do it with crisis capitalism, and they have it with creating false flag events. So yesterday, the 10th of September, this fella, now I didn't know him because I don't get involved in any of this shit. I don't. The left, the right, the this, the that. This Charlie Kirk, from all appearances, just a normal Joe. Who knows? Who knows? And there's the whole point. Do I believe that somebody got shot yesterday? Yes. Do I believe that it was an assassin that was paid by the very system that we're at war with? Yes, that's what I believe. But you know what? I'm not going to get emotionally involved with that. I'm not. And that's the point. Is not, if you want to understand a psychological operation, red flags, and mind control, you must keep your emotions in check. This is an old advice that I got from reading a book called Political Pontronology that was written by social scientists in Poland as it was being overthrown by the communist regime. And they had to read, the book was actually burned. It was seized and burned. There was one writer that was left alive many years later and wrote it verbatim. That was his life's work, was to write this book, Political Pontronology. And it speaks about how this all works. And the one advice that he gave, and has kept me sane through the last almost 6 years, right, is to stay objective. Don't become emotionally involved with it. Look at it, and before you come to any kind of decision about something, look at all angles. Give it time. And even then, avoid high emotion. High emotion with symbols goes into your subconscious mind. These guys are expert mind control. They're 25 steps ahead of where we are. They know exactly how people are going to react, right? And thus they act accordingly. So they create the problem, then they know the reaction, and then they're going to offer the solution. Same thing. So with this man that took the shot yesterday, if he really died, it doesn't really matter. Well, it does to his family, right? But it was the influence of who this was. We now have a very definite divide between left and right because they've been weaponized. They always have. They're the same arm. They're the same people. They're all going to take you to the same place. But there's this simmering anger and hatred out there that is just, it's getting flatter and flatter. They're pushing it down, because they know what's going to happen. They want civil war. They want it in the worst goddamn way, the cult of death, really. Because then they can put in martial law. Emergency, like Barrie, Ontario. Barrie, Ontario, now is in a state of emergency. I used to live there. It's the place I left, my beautiful home that I wanted to live in forever. But when COVID hit, I had to nail the windows shut because people were trying to break into my house because we were right off downtown. That mayor was paid. They all were paid. Every mayor everywhere is treasonous. They destroyed their cities. They've destroyed them. So now it's a state of emergency. What is it that they can do now in Barrie to these people, these homeless people that many had homes until COVID, until they were deemed non-essential, right? Put them in complete mental health breakdown. Of course, everybody's been MK Ultra, right? So everybody has some form of post-traumatic stress disorder. You do. You cannot, the human being is not supposed to live like this. It's not. They know that, right? So Charlie Kirk, they use him because if they have civil war, people are going to scream for it, right? Help us, we need help, government. Why? I could never understand that. You're asking the devil to help you. The very people that are causing the problem. And it will be AI and robotics. They already have them. Drones, everything. They can throw everything at it. Now I'm going to go to another subject, right? This has to do with the 9/11, but it also has to do with how psychiatry looks at you and what they're pushing towards. This Darwinian materialistic technocracy, how they view you. Okay, so in relations to 9/11, there is through HeartMath, which I strongly encourage people to go online and take a look, the Global Consciousness Project. So consciousness. Remember, the people that run the fucking show want you to believe that that doesn't exist. They know it exists, but they want you to believe that it doesn't exist, right? And their useful idiots have this Malthusian eugenics fucking mindset because they're insane psychopaths. Okay, so the Global Consciousness Project, it has these random event generator of numbers, and it should be just random. Right? Random, that should have no pattern. What they have found, right, is before a big geopolitical or things that happened, for 9/11, I think it was 8 or 9 hours beforehand, they could see that the numbers were starting to have some kind of cohesive. It was making sense. It should never happen. And their thought is that consciously, remember, the subconscious is in these fields of energy. It knew. Our subconscious knew before it actually happened. That's what that means, right? So you can go online. It's the Global Consciousness Project. Take a look at that. It'll make you look at consciousness exists. And those that are telling you that it isn't, they're like the Mengelas of the world. They are monsters. They are social engineers, right? And they make me sick. They make me sick because I see the destruction that they do into this world. So, an article that, and I know this because I worked in psychiatry. I know how, and MK Ultra entered this a long time ago. That's documented, right? I had a patient that they tried to de-pattern with shock treatment. Hundreds and hundreds of them. I had one demented patient that because this fucking lunatic doctor, head of Mount Sinai Psychiatry, thought the demented person should have shock treatment. Well, that went really well. These guys are mentally ill. They're psychopaths, right? And they've been given carte blanche. The Tavistock Institute and the UN loves them because they have control over your life. If somebody thinks that you are mentally unfit, brings me to the emergency in Barrie. Where do you think those people are going to go? What do you think they're going to do to them? They don't want them on their streets anymore. Right? They can take your fucking freedom away from you with the fucking blink of an eye, and there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. Not a thing you can do about it. They can hold you for 72 hours. Right? And we're going back to a more, what can I say? Trump already made that change laws. Right? It's going to be everywhere. Everywhere. So in the article by John Rapport, I'll just read you. This is the century of the brain. They've mapped the brain because that's all they think you are. Meaning the brain is the number one target of enslavement. Right? Right. It's here. This is where it is. They grab your perception, they've got you. They can implant thoughts. They use mind control. These crises, these red flags. I think Kirk will bring in martial law is what I see. And I see it Martin Armstrong has said that with his computer, his AI system that has been for 40 years, has been saying he's an economist, right? But it looks at things, and he's saying civil war from 2026, 2027. So I'll just read you a little bit of this. This guy's on Substack. I'll link this. I already shared it in my Facebook. There is every reason to conclude that the tiny nanoparticles, so the shit that they put in you, across the blood-brain barrier, and it goes into and wreaks havoc in the brain. Well, that's what they want to do. If you look at Brave New World, now remember, he was part of the eugenics movement, right? His daddy, his brother, Huxley's, right? He said they would, and that it was a different way that they hollowed out the brain, right? But they're doing the same thing, and psychiatry is involved with it. So there's a budding movement within psychiatry, and they've always been there, this materialistic trend, to end all arguments about distinction between mind and brain and between soul and body. Instead, the proponents argue psychiatry have to close ranks and admit the soul is a fiction, so is the mind. It's all brain. Thusly, it has nothing to do with your circumstances, has nothing to do with social determinants, right? They make up fake diagnosis from human behavior, and then they drug you. Drugs are because it's a biological, you're complete and materialistic, you have no soul, you have no spirit, you're not connected. There is no such thing as consciousness. Consciousness is a creation of the brain. I could not disagree more, but I have seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. I know how they feel about you. I know how they look upon you. It's why I got along so well with my patients, because I understand who they are. I could connect and understand who they were on a spiritual, soul, mind level, consciousness. And we're all connected, and we're all the same. We're all humans. We are not materialistic bags of shit that need more fucking poison, toxic fucking chemicals in us. That is not what we need. We need care. I look around at the world. How did we get so fucking hateful in the last 6 years? I'm sick of death. I'm sick of suffering. It doesn't need to be this way. It is these monsters. They're monsters that believe you're nothing and they're everything. And they're terrified of death. They want to download themselves into a system because that's all that they can see. Like the Kurzweils, right? They have these God complexes and they could care less about you. And psychiatry has, and I mean, that book that I read about Tavistock made it inherently clear. The shock troopers, this CIA dude who was a psychologist and wrote books about it back in the 40s. These shock troopers that go out and they determine, technocracy, what is sane and what isn't sane. I am not sane by that. I'm not. By their definition. I would be seen as insane and of needing, that's why I will never live in Canada, right? Because people are so mind-washed there, they'll turn you in for having a different narrative. If this gentleman got killed yesterday, it was because his narrative went against another narrative. And they're all bullshit. Do you understand? The right, the left, all bullshit. All of it is bullshit to divide. To get, they're shaking the ants in the jar. They know exactly what you'll do because you are, and the only way you break it is to know that they're doing it and to stay. I'm not saying righteous anger is wrong. I get righteous anger. I will outlive the motherfuckers just for everything that they fucking stole from me. Trying to steal my freedom. They can't steal the freedom of my mind. They can't do that. But they killed my son. And they're destroying my family, right? Financially. And living under constant pressure and stress. And working like dogs to give the government money. Like my friends here. Working like dogs slaves, to not even have enough money to put food on the fucking table. You people in Canada need to wake up, right? They're murdering you right in front of you. That is the power of the mind control. If you will not look at it, if you want to stay in denial about all of this, but I'm telling you, something's about, that meant something yesterday. That was not a random event. It was supposed to happen. Just like Kennedy. Kennedy was another one. It's where the term conspiracy theorist came from. It's not a conspiracy theory. He was murdered. He was murdered by powerful people that didn't want him there. They wanted to create something, and they did. That was a step toward the killing of the king, they called it, in the Tavistock Institute book that I read, because it had an underlying false flag mechanism to create what we see now. And we're rolling down that fucking road. Oh my God. And this division between generations, we can't come together, that we're not supposed to be divided along generational lines, right? What is supposed to happen, and what I watched my whole life, and what I got to understand from all the older people that I worked with, they're all I worked with, mentally ill people and older people. Mentally ill people were hurt people. They were hurt. Most were traumatized. They were either the ones that did the trauma because they'd been traumatized, or the people that suffered and were victims of the trauma, right? And the older people, the ones that I saw that lived long lives, were hard workers, and they were wise, right? They may not have had the greatest of educations, but that doesn't matter. That's propaganda, right? They lived life, and they had the attitude of gratitude. Even within all that I see going on, and waking up sometimes and going, I'm sick of living in a death cult, I really am. I wish more people could see it, right? But life is a beautiful thing. I have great gratitude for it. I just would like everybody else to thrive. I don't want to see people suffer and work like slaves. I want them to have good lives. I don't want them poisoning the air. First one I saw, not to think that it hasn't been happening, because I've been having a lot of sort of nasally stuff, which I don't have anything. But the nose, remember, it's a first line of defense, that mucus that's in there. It captures things. If it's overloaded with toxins, like the chemtrails that I saw yesterday with a plane that I saw on a flight, I know the flight pass of this. There's only so much that comes into David. This wasn't going to David. This was going somewhere. It was just randomly flying, spraying shit that lasted and created cloud effect. That is putting nanomaterials, all kinds of evil shit in the air to weaponize, going to the other book I'm reading, which other stuff that I've read before too, the ionosphere and plasmoids and what they're doing with that, with electromagnetic energy, and how that affects us when we breathe in all this shit, goes across the blood-brain barrier and can make people have psychiatric-like symptoms. You see them going somewhere with this. You see them using that little fucking technique that they have to wipe your mind clean. That's what they want to do, and then they can download new memories. That's the way they've figured out how you work. We're pretty basic, right? But the thing is, you don't know. Most people don't know how they work. Most people have no idea. This is a war. I tell you that the cruelty of it, they are wickedly evil geniuses with obsessive compulsive disorder along with everything else. Now, psychopaths are, because psychopaths by nature, they can't control themselves, so they fucking love to keep everybody in a little box, right? Because they believe everybody believes and thinks like they do. And the problem is, us that aren't psychopaths, we can't see it. I couldn't see it for years. Now I see it plain as fucking day, right? Plain as day. So my advice to you going forward, because I think that that's a pivotal moment. They like to, they love ritual and shit like that. These people that, want everything from themselves, these selfish, greedy little children, right? And just steal it from everybody else and cull them and kill them because we have no purpose, because we're just materialistic fucking meat sacks with no spirit, no soul. Maybe they don't, because remember, psychopaths have no connection to anything. They're an empty vessel. They steal your creativity. They steal it all, right? Thinking that that's the way it is because, if I feel that way, everybody else must feel that way. Well, no, most human beings are good people. They just want a good life. That's it. They'll do what they do to survive, right? Like maybe come and get turtles from a turtle sanctuary so their family can eat. Hunting, shit like that, so that they can feed themselves, those that are not as fortunate to have the amount of money that some people have. So that's what I had to say today. And this, remember, you are not just this meat suit. You are God's creation. We are all human, regardless what age you are, what group you're in, who you identify. They get you by identifying something. I'm just this human energy down here in this meat suit, trying to make sense out of this world, trying to keep my heart open, because I don't ever want my heart to close down, because then I'm dead. Your heart's closed, you're dead. Protect your heart, but don't close it down. So you are consciousness. You are divine spark, having a conscious experience down here in this meat suit. Don't let anybody take that away from you. If you're feeling feelings, it's because something is happening in your environment. Dr. Bruce Lipton demonstrated this years ago by taking cells that were all identical, putting them in different mediums in petri dishes, and they all became different. One became a heart muscle, one became this, one became that. It's the environment that you're in. And we've gone so far away from the social determinants of health, because those are the things that do determine health. Not living in crisis, not living in stress, not living in fear, not poisoning yourself, not distracting yourself, not numbing yourself. That everybody can thrive, right? Can you imagine? I used to imagine back in the 70s. I did. I wanted to see the world a good place. I've always been happy when people thrive and do well. It's how it's supposed to be. Not like this. Not sick all the time. Not their immune system under constant attack. Not the toxic foods, the toxic chemicals. Not having enough money to live. That somebody can deem and judge through eugenics who has the right to live and who doesn't. And if you don't think we're not living through eugenics, you really need to open your eyes to it. But understand that you're above and beyond that, because you are consciousness, right? Don't let them get you reactive. Have righteous anger. That's good. You need that. Right? It's how you direct the energy from that. And my advice to people that know what's going on, use your voice. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to use your voice. We need to. We need to use our voice. We need to educate people to what's going on, if you know. Right? Do little podcasts. Write things on Substack. There's tons of ways. It's okay. It's okay to be you. It's okay to be your unique self. You don't have to be this homogenized version. That's not normal. That's not it. Right? So moving forward, because I see more things happening, and I see a rapid, it gets quicker and quicker and quicker. And this move towards global civil war, actually, with martial law, with things that we think are science fiction, but aren't, right? So stay educated. And as that guy says on Facebook that I like, stay the course and don't be drawn in by the evil all around you, because it is all around you, but you're not, right? It's our energy field and what we allow in, right? So be a critical thinker, be the best that you can be, stay strong, eat the best that you can, move your body, right? Meditate, thank God, have gratitude, go to HeartMath. They have that beautiful heart-mind coherence. It only takes about 3 minutes, where you do breathing, get yourself out of fight and flight, and have gratitude. And then you plan for a good future that you want to see for humanity, because we're all connected. We are all one. Hence why I couldn't sleep last night with the amount of grief. Grief, a world of grief. The world grieving, and most not knowing exactly what happened, that it was orchestrated by their governments to create control, this new world order. It's real. It's not a conspiracy theory. I always think I'm going to come on and not say too much, but yeah. Okay, that's it for today. You take care. Be mindful. Be in the moment. Because you know what? Right now in this moment, and it's the only one I used to tell patients this all the time, there is no future, there is no past. We're here. Plan for the future. But this moment is really the only moment that you're here. So in this moment, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wise, I'm whole, I'm strong, I'm free. And that's, what more could you ask for?